Dear young learners, today I have come with the topic A Letter to God from Class 10 English. Before going into the topic, let us ponder over a few points. As the title of the story suggests, this is something connected with God. The topic revolves around God. Now let us not go into the story right away. Let us think about this. When do we usually think of God? Exactly, when we are in trouble, we think of God. Most of us are like that. When we are in trouble, when we expect something to be done, when we think there's something beyond us and we want things to be done, in such cases we think of God. We approach God. You have exams, you go to a temple to pray to God to make sure you do your exams well. Right? You are in trouble, bigger trouble, you go to God. God, save me, help me. So whenever we are in trouble, we look at God for help. Why? Why do we look at God for help? Because we believe that God is going to help us. For sure. That is what we believe. We believe that God is a superpower, and this superpower is definitely going to help us, bring us out of our troubles smoothly. Right? So, keeping this in mind, I have a question for you to think about. How far can you depend on God? What is the extent to which you can depend on God? Now you have your exams. Let me come back to the same point. Being students, that is your biggest hurdle, right? So you've got your exams. You don't study and you go and pray to God very sincerely, honestly. You offer Him a coconut or whatever, and then you ask Him, God, help me. Do you think God is going to help you? Yeah, definitely your answer must be no, because you haven't put in your efforts. Until and unless you put in your own efforts, God is not going to support you. You look to God for support. Right? He makes you stronger to face difficult situations in life. Now my next question. Let us believe God is going to help us, support us. How is He going to help you? Is He going to come down in front of you and, with His magic, is He going to clear all your problems and troubles? Is it going to be that way? Or how is He going to do it? You have got your exams, you have some difficult topics. Okay, you haven't got it cleared properly, and tomorrow you have got exams. Okay, then your friend comes down to your place and says, oh, this topic, it's like ABC for me, let me help it out. And he explains to you, and you find it's very clear and simple. All your doubts are clarified and you're ready for the exam. Then what do you say to your friend? You're like, God sent to me today. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're like God sent. That means God has not come down to help you out, but He has sent someone to help you out, right? So help may come in various forms through various people or various sources. You know, it takes time to understand God's wonders, God's magic. So now let's get into our topic, a letter to God. Now this story, a letter to God, was written by a Mexican writer, G.L. Fuentes. He has written the story in such a way that it reflected the situation existing in those days. Now this story reflects the pains taken by a farmer, the pains, the expectations, the hopes, and sometimes disappointments. My dear young learners, let us all stay connected throughout this journey. It's not, this journey is just this is only the beginning of the journey, and it's going to continue throughout the year. Let's travel together. In order to stay connected, please subscribe our channel, and if you like my videos, please do share with your friends so that everyone can be benefited. Now let's get into the lesson. Now before we go into the lesson, I expect you to open your textbook, the first flight, okay, and I prefer that you carry your pencil along with you so that you can make notes wherever necessary. So shall we get into our lesson? We all know how unpredictable weather can be. We are all experiencing this nowadays. So let us go into the story, a letter to God. Before you read, they say faith can move mountains. But what should we put our faith in? This is the question this story delicately poses. So we are going to see, keep this in mind while reading the story. What we should put our faith in. Now let us talk about the story in short. The story is about a very, very hard working farmer whose name is Lencho. Okay, he's a farmer and very hard working, just like any other farmer, and full of hopes. He puts in his best on his farm and he expects the best results, just like any other farmer, right? So let us see what happens to him in this story, a letter to God. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. Now, the article, definite article, the, when is it used? When something is being referred to for the second time. First it is referred to as a house, like for example, and then when we are referring to it for the second time, we use the house. But here the story begins with the house. What does that indicate? That indicates there is only one and only one house there. There is no choice of houses, there is only one and only one, and when there is only one and one, we use the definite article the. So the use of the definite article the house. The only one in the entire valley. Since there's only one house there, it is referred to as the house. Sat on the crest of a low hill. Where was this located? Where was this house located? It was located on the crest, on the top of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. See, you form an image here. Beautiful use of visual imagery is seen here in this line. Let me read this once again. From this height, you are standing on top of a low hill, and from there, what are you able to see? One could see the river. So you just imagine the scenery in front of you. You're on top, and what are you able to see in the valley? You're able to see the river, a flowing river there, and the field of ripe corn. There's a cornfield, ripe cornfield. Ripe in the sense it's full of flowers, dotted with flowers. Dotted, when you're looking from a distance, these flowers look like dots. When you look at the sky, because of the distance, at night you see the stars like dots. Similarly, here you're watching this scene from a height, from a distance. That's why, how can you visualize this? How can you see this cornfield? The flowers look like dots, right? The field of ripe corn dotted with flowers. And how are these flowers? That always promised a good harvest. How are these flowers? These flowers always promised a good harvest. What does this mean? That it's a wonderful, this crop, this field is going to give a wonderful crop to Lensho. The only thing, but there's something that is required here. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. What's the difference between the two? Downpour is a heavy rain, whereas a shower is light fall of rain. Throughout the morning, Lensho, who knew his fields intimately. What do you mean by this? Who knew his fields intimately. That means he has dedicated so much of his time to his field that he knew each and every plant, each and every flower in his field. That is what this means. Who knew his fields intimately, just like your teacher knows each one of you in your class intimately, familiarly. They know, they're familiar with each and every one of you in the class. Similarly, Lensho is familiar with each and every plant in his field. Throughout the morning, Lensho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. What was he doing throughout this morning? He had been looking up towards the northeast. Why? What does he require now? He requires, or the soil, the crop, what does it require now? It requires a downpour or at least a shower. So he is looking up. For what? What is he looking up for? He is looking up expecting rain, hoping for rain. Now we are really going to get some water, woman. So he addresses his wife. He tells her, Definitely, when he looks up, he is able to see clear indications that it's going to rain now. So he says, surely we are going to get some water, he says. The woman who was preparing supper, replied, yes, God willing. What does she say? Yes, God willing. Yes, definitely it's going to rain. We are going to get some water if God wills. If God wants us to have this, yes, He will give it to us. What does this tell us about Linshaw's family, Linshaw's wife? It tells us that she believes, totally trusts in God. The older boys were working in the field. Who are the older boys? Their sons. Okay, the older ones who are old enough to work in the field, they were helping their father, right? The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all, come for dinner. So she calls them all. She gives them a call for dinner. It was during the meal. Now, so she called everyone and the whole family was having a meal together, supper together. What does supper mean? Evening meal. Okay, they were having their evening meal together. And during this meal, what had happened? Just as Linshaw had predicted. What do you mean by predicted? Predicted means to tell, to foretell. Foretell, to guess something beforehand. What did he guess? What did he foretell? That they are going to get some water. That means they are going to get some rain. That was what he predicted. Just as Linshaw had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. Just like he had predicted, just like he foretold, it started raining. And how was the rain?